Pity the fool, I'm fooling ones with my intelligence. What's the policy of the mind, body, soul? Overcome with the oblivion. And my words play like an anthem, and the truth will expose the intuition of the soul. Deep dark thoughts you will never know. I take the intentions of the.
Hey you guys, welcome back to the Scholar Social. My name is Jonah Ruffin.
I'm Jayla Bryant.
I'm Daya Brown.
I'm Sanaa Edwards.
And I'm Jayla Jackson.
And today we have a special guest.
Hi everyone, my name is Emani Stanton.
Yes, guys, this is my partner from the Harvard International Debate Competition.
Yes, the winners. Don't play
The
with them.
history makers.
First
Yeah.
Black women.
First Black women.
Yes, ma'am.
First Black Gril Duo to win Harvard International.
Right.
Yeah. As y'all should.
Right.
So
So
what are we
it's
talking
nice
about?
to have you on the show. We
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yes.
You're our first guest.
Our first
Yes.
Car, you
Making
made
history
it.
of technology.
So
So what are we getting into today?
Okay, so today this topic is a little bit more on a timeline. So today we're talking about resilience, especially when it comes to Black people, because we have this conception of what resilience is, but not necessarily what, in application, what that actually looks like. So I just want to talk about that for today. Y'all? Is y'all down?
I'm down. I think that it's going to be such an interesting topic per usual. So if it's okay with y'all, let's talk about it.
Alright.
So
My
we're
first.
starting with definitions, right?
Yeah, okay. So I just want to know what y'all think resilience is first. Then we're going to get into what it's actually defined as.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Daya.
Oh, our guest!
So
Let's
sorry.
go
I
first, girl.
I didn't know it was in order.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead,
Yes.
go ahead.
But to me, resilience is when you go through a hardship, but you make it through. But there's something specific about the type of resilience that me as a person, me in my category, I'm a Black woman, and I've always been that. So it's something specific to me where it's not just you're making through it on your own. You're bringing other people with you, regardless of what you're going through. You always have that facade. I feel like it's at some points it's damaging, but also it's kind of that mantra that it is what it is. So you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's how
I've
I've interpreted. That's how I've interpreted like resilience throughout my life for both the good and the bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have to agree on that. When I think of resilience, I think of a blessing and curse, specifically going back to the category of being a Black woman. I feel as if it's a curse because being a resilient, it feels like I can't be nothing else.
Right.
And it's like I have to keep pushing. And when I'm done, the curse comes in because I feel so drained.
Right.
And it's like this overwhelming, feeling that I feel like it's hard to get out of.
Right.
But at the same time, a blessing. It's a blessing because that resilience brings you, new opportunities.
Right.
It brings you a new chapter in life. At the same point, it brings other people along as well.
Right. I love that.
Going off of I agree with both what Emani and Daya said. Going off of that, I think also a point of resilience is how much struggle do I have to go through before I am seen as resilient as a Black woman? What degree of struggle? That's where it takes in. That's where the curse comes in. I believe where it feels like the struggle Olympics, but the blessing I think of. I think of Shakira's song "Zootopia," and it's.
No way. Is this real life?
Can't be real
Like,
life.
And it says, "Birds don't just fall." No, whoa.
Messing it up.
Birds don't just fly; they fall down and get up. Meaning that there's struggle.
It's cute.
But they end up flying in the end.
Yes. Okay.
The message is there.
Right.
The message is there.
The quote is there. I don't know if the message.
Shout out to
Let's say
Shakira.
that. But,
For me, I think resilience is definitely similar to Imani, as in when you are able to get through times of adversity. But I think the nuance of my definition would be that adversity that is out of our control.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
So when you are faced with a situation or a circumstance that you genuinely can't control, your ability to still come out on top or prevail.
Yeah, I
My
love that.
book is resilience, right? But if I have the choice to remove a circumstance or a roadblock from my road, it will be removed, right?
Right.
So when I see people getting through circumstances that you put yourself in, or that you could have easily removed that person, that's something, that habit from your life, for me that's not resilience. That's you making up for something you created.
But the thing about that is we have to be very careful because you may think that, or I may think that you could have gotten out of the situation, but for you it was life or death.
Right.
So I don't make the assumption that you're doing this, but I caution people not to just put the assumption that this person didn't think that they could get out of it. So that's kind of like for
Right.
me. But I definitely agree with the nuance. Like, you don't get points, you don't get brownie for getting yourself out of something.
Yeah. Okay.
Come on now.
Jonah,
You
what
can
you
drop
think?
that man ago.
point.
You could drop
it
him a long time ago, bro.
Yeah.
You chose to stay with him.
What do you
Anyway.
think, Jonah?
I think that resilience, I think that everybody that has gone so far has really like had a good definition, but for me I think that it's, yeah, you know that you might be in a bad place right now, you might be like really down and not at your best, but knowing that in the end you will be there and one day you'll thank yourself for not giving up. I feel like that's resilience, being like, yeah, I'm going to accept that right now, but I'm going to get through this. And then
I
maybe
love that.
a year or two, I'm be like, you know what, I'm thankful for myself.
I love
Like, I
that.
did that, you know?
Yeah.
I think I like that. So for me, I kind of want to bounce off of your definition, kind of pushing myself through the hard part, and then in the end, finding the goodness though it was bad.
Right.
That for me is the resilience. Just learning the lesson even after the lesson is over.
Right.
So with that, I'm gonna say what the actual definition of resilience is, which is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness.
Yeah.
And my thing about that is that many people don't recognize resilience as the recovery process.
Right.
They recognize it as the battle.
journey.
And so kind of, I'm gonna go back to what you said about the blockers that are in our way.
Okay.
When you said that you have the choice or the option to remove them, can you expound upon that? Because a lot of people feel like that they don't have the power to remove them.
Okay. So what I meant by that is that what I see a lot, especially for young people, right? We get ourselves into situations that could have been prevented, which is a part of growth, right? But when we look at bigger situations to where it is simply out of our control, right? So us as minors, a lot of times there are situations to where if we don't have a parent's check off, or we don't have someone who is our guardian to sign off, it gets really difficult for us, right? The ability to navigate through things that we literally can't touch, for me, has always been a form of resilience, right? If it's you surviving through something that's your choice, I don't know, I find that troubling, right? Because of me as a person, there's a lot of things that I can't control, but in the spirit of what I can, if I'm pushing through something that doesn't have to be here, I don't get why so many people, try to push through situations that your life would be easier if you let it go. And I understand that letting things go is extremely hard,
It's a process.
but it's so important because the more that you add on to the things that you already can't control, it becomes burdensome.
The more that you let go, the more that you grow.
Right.
I totally agree. But I have someone in my life who they create all of their own problems. Literally, so many things could have been avoided. But I can recognize and sympathize with the fact that this person has been through a trauma, or they've been conditioned to think that this is what is important. Like people who do all the isms or do all the phobias, they have been conditioned. You could have let that go. You don't have to be whatever racist or whatever. You don't have to let that consume you. But they can't let it go because they've been conditioned or they've been through a trauma that makes them think that that is the most important thing in their life, and that they can't have themselves or they can't be themselves without this problem, this thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to us, because we've been conditioned to look at the bigger picture, to some people the smaller picture is all that there is.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like you can never really say, oh, they could have like had that out of their way, because I feel like every single person has their uniqueness to their situation, and what you might think that could have been gone, in their mind it's there and I can't move it.
Right. I would never discredit the fact that vantage point plays a role in it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, and this is just my perspective,
Right.
no matter if you felt like it was life or death or not, does not change the facts of the situation. Does that make sense?
I understand.
So it's like, yes, some people look at the bigger picture. For others, it's smaller, and this is what I've been conditioned to do. Conditioned or not, no matter the circumstances, the bottom line is this is the harm. This is the sickness. This is what's causing the issue.
Right.
So y'all know me, I'm solution based. So I'm like,
Just say it every podcast.
what needs to go? What needs to be added?
Yeah.
That's because at the bottom, no matter how much we think about it or the way that we think about it, it's still an issue.
Right.
What are you going to do to fix it?
Right.
So bringing up the point of resilience and connecting that to what Jayla just said. If you don't go, maybe people, this is just what I'm hearing. Maybe people put themselves through that hardship just to be seen as resilience. Because imagine if you didn't have any shown hardship.
Hold on.
Are you still considered that strong Black woman? Are you considered that resilient woman because your hardships aren't shown, or they aren't known, or they aren't as hard as people make.
You are so right about that. Let me say something about that. But, and I love that because the first thing that came to my mind when y'all are talking about this is work smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, like, the general consensus is people work harder regardless.
Right.
Because that is what gets praised.
Right.
You went through this, you did that, even when you had a broken blah, blah, blah. It's like the hype behind it. Because,
Think
yes.
college applications. That's exactly what they.
Yes.
Sorry, I mean I'm not getting
College
anyone who does
applications,
that,
no
but like
jokes.
college applications, people you have. They're literally one of the questions I look on
Sob
that
story?
is what is something that you had to get through that has made you who you are.
Right.
Because that resilience is praised so much, but it's almost like
right.
what is the point where it's praised for something that you've actually been through, and what is the point where it's becoming fallacious?
To that point, I don't know if anybody read Toni Morrison's Nobel lecture, but it's about language. And I realized that language is not just Spanish or English. I think resilience is a form of language.
Right.
It becomes a catalyst. Of war, and also the solvency of war. And so I think we tend to look at, to your point about how resilience is this battlefield, right? But at the same time, resilience it's the journey of finding that healing, finding finding where we want to be in life. Because I know life is this hard thing, but at the same time, I wish we would praise resilience.
Right.
And it's hard to do it as a Black woman because it's tired. I'm freaking tired.
And so even I wanna probe the definition a little bit because we're dealing with the word recover,
Yeah.
right? Meaning that the original sin is already done.
Yeah.
Whatever you went through, it's already happened, right?
Yeah.
And I think that people think that healing reverses the past, but it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
It still happens. Whether your reality gets easier to go through is different than it not happening in the first place.
Right.
Right? So if resilience at the basis is me recovering from something that I've already been through, for me that's an issue, right? Because we do see a praise of resilience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But resilience only comes where trauma is.
Right.
My issue is with the trauma.
Right.
I don't want to endure through stuff.
Right.
I want my kids enduring through things that they don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Black people. We
Right.
go through a lot of stuff that should not be happening,
But it
right?
does.
So we're hyping up this resilience. No, let's deal with the trauma, right?
Yeah.
If resilience is the aftermath of a bad thing, right? I do not understand the hype of it.
But can I say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
And I have a question.
Okay, but I think that trying to deal with the trauma is kind of like a very what's the word I'm trying for? It's a very irrational thing to do. I don't think that it can ever be dealt with. Trauma is gonna happen regardless, no matter what we try to go through and try to fix it or focus on it or talk about it. There's gonna always be trauma there, no matter what. So I think that.
The amount of trauma.
But I don't. What can you elaborate on that, please?
Right. Okay. We kept throwing around this phrase "strong Black woman."
Okay.
Right. If we look at some of the traumas that are thrown in our faces on the screen or wherever, we hear strong Black woman when you're going through circumstances. I've heard it dealing with circumstances of poverty, during circumstances of motherhood, during circumstances of sexual abuse. Right. That's where I hear it used in my space mostly, and it's like, yo, are we not going to talk about the fact that she was sexually abused, that she was enduring the horrible conditions of poverty, right? Can we get into that? Yes, the ability to still be strong after something like that is commendable. But what we're seeing, which we talked about in our Generation Cycles episode, is that we keep praising the aftermath of something that's horrible.
Right, and I get what you're saying. It's more of the rhetoric around the situation. So instead of we read the story and we say, yes, she's a resilient woman, but but we should also be saying, but also let's get who did that to her.
Yeah.
Let's solve this problem. Let's change the laws.
So it doesn't happen again.
Right. It's like the rhetoric of a strong Black woman is consuming the rhetoric of fixing the actual
To
problem.
kind of gear this conversation towards these Black people. Do you think there's a different standard of resilience for Black people than others? And do you think it's harmful to think that?
You know what? I think there is for a very particular reason. Sometimes I consider myself a very resilient person. But sometimes I wish that I could be. I wish that I could break down and cry and throw a fit in the middle of the store.
Yeah.
But so many times we can't do that as Black people and as well Black women.
Come
Because
on.
we don't have anyone to fall back on. Yes, we have our family, but that expectation makes it so that we don't truly or we don't believe that we have anyone to fall back on, and that's not the standard for other people who have been raised in different circumstances.
Yeah.
If we are resilient, then we fall back into that stereotype. Oh, if I get angry at you because I'm just fed up with whatever you get, oh, I'm the angry Black woman now. Oh, I'm
Woo,
tired.
I heard a
Angry Black
poem.
woman.
I heard a poem on that. It's like, yeah, I am angry. I have a right to be like that. Especially being Black women in America. Woo! We have so many reasons. There are so many reasons to be angry. So while I appreciate the strong Black woman phrase, because yes, I do deserve the praise of being able to push through things that are horrible. But at the same time, I got every right to be angry, sad, mad, all of that. And so in our own communities, my question is now, should we be using that phrase, the way in which we use it and the amount of how we use it? Because I feel like, in my personal opinion, that phrase has now taken away my right to be emotional,
We're talking about
to
angry
be
Black
mad.
women.
Yeah, to not angry Black women, strong Black
Strong
women. I feel like it stripped me of my humanity in ways.
It's a lot of responsibility
To stay
Strong.
strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was talking to Emani before, we started taping, but like, I feel like when we are resilient, we lose the inability to be protected.
Ooh.
Like, we can't be protected anymore. You're filled with this, status quo of independence. Dudes don't want to date you.
Because you are the protector.
Yeah, you are the protector.
You're the protector of yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
I
as a
understand.
resilient person, can I be protected by someone? Because God dang it, I want to escape right now. I want to get off and get done with my schoolwork, get done with work, get done with all of these amazing things, and I just want to breathe for a second.
And the thing is, the pattern kind of continues, especially for my instance, I am in a single mother household, right? So she's naturally resilient because she has to be. Those obstacles that you were talking about, she can't remove them.
Yeah.
Right? She has to take on the burden of all these other different roles and responsibilities.
Right.
But then on top of that, as someone who is seeing this, I'm emulating it because I could see that she's doing that, and I have no other models to represent. To model after. So now the cycle continues where I am portraying that same person that she was, and my fear is that if I get in these positions where I could have somebody else to depend on, I won't be able to accept it.
Exactly.
Where I feel like I can't,
Yes.
especially when it comes to dating, especially when it comes to asking for help, especially when it comes to these instances where people can come into my life. But because I've seen people model when there is no help, I choose not to accept it.
Right.
Right, I have a question though. I want to shift the conversation, right? Because we keep talking about protection and the need to be protected, the ability to accept protection
Yeah.
when it's offered to us. Jonah, I wanted to ask you really quickly because now it becomes like, who is supposed to be protected? Right? So as Black women, right, looking to be married, looking to have fellowship, right? Obviously, there's community within Black women ourselves,
Right.
but our Black men play a
Going
large
through
role
They
in
play a
that.
big role.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get your perspective in this because I know there are a lot of standards
Right.
for Black men also to be resilient.
Right. And I think that that's okay. And I think that it's so crazy because a Black man, it's like a certain image. When you hear that, you think a certain thing.
Right.
And I am nothing of that sort. And it's like my whole life I feel as if I've had to be resilient, especially in my household or in life in general. I think that walking outside and being who I am, it's a struggle. Literally. I'll walk out in a crop top and I have gotten so many comments, oh, stares, and it's just dang, I can't even be who I am without getting judged. And it's only because you're supposed to be a Black man. Black men don't do that. Black men don't like fashion. Black men don't wear crop tops. Black men don't do this, that, and the third. And it's just when can I get a break too? It's I can't even, and even in my own household, my own father, he literally projects those views on me. And then he has the,
So,
and then it's
right.
And then it's and then I remember one day he was like, you're selfish. And I was like, I'm selfish? I've been living my life for you for my whole life. I can't do anything without trying to get your approval.
Right.
I can't walk out the house unless you approve my outfit.
Yeah.
I can't do anything unless
Yeah.
you like it.
Yeah.
But I'm selfish after I've lived my life for you my whole life. I'm selfish? Alright. And it's
That's
what?
a great point because our stamp of approval is not given to us unless we fit into these standards.
Right.
Right.
Now
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
You're going through some crap.
Literally.
Strong Black woman.
Because the things that you're talking about, you are stepping outside of the box. You are making this is devil's advocate, but it's kind of like you chose to make your life a little bit difficult trying to be different, stepping outside of that box. Now these are blockers that you have put in your path because of who you choose to be. So now it comes to the choice of what would you say to somebody in your position who is teeter-tottering on this choice of should I have these blockers that I'm intentionally putting in my life to be who I am, or should I still fit in this box of path of least resistance?
Right, and I kind of get what you're saying, but then again, I kind of don't. I don't feel as if, how am I putting a blocker in my life for just being who I am? I don't get, because the stuff that I do that's outside of the box is not outside of the box in my head.
Yeah, I think what Zayla is
literally
saying is that anybody who lives their truth, right? Even for us being girls who can be seen as aggressive,
Right.
or can be seen as like, oh, you're not the typical girl,
Right.
right? Living our truth has made things different,
Right, yeah.
right? So
Uh-huh.
you living your truth, there are so many who probably do not do that,
Right, I get what you're saying.
simply because of the fact, like,
that they don't want those blockers.
this
Yeah.
is going to be more difficult,
Right.
Right,
right?
and we call that, right? We call that the passive of least resistance.
Yes.
Say you're a flamboyant and you choose not to be. But
Right.
it's actually not, because it's also a blocker or a barrier having to hide yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
That may even be more of a barrier.
war with
I'd rather face the world as myself than have to hide from the world as someone I don't want to be.
Right, and like you said, to answer your question, what do I give somebody like advice that's in my position or was in my position? All I can say is just do it. Like that's literally all I can say because but all I can literally say is just do it because it's going to hurt more not being yourself. Not wanting to be who you truly are is going to hurt so much more. Yeah, you might not be the fan favorite. Yeah, you might be looked at a little bit differently, but all in all, you're still gonna be like, I'm doing this for me. And like self-happiness and self-love is more important than anything in this world. So I feel like if you just do it and you just stay true to yourself, it'll all work out.
And that honestly made me, go ahead.
And to shift the conversation, I just have a question. This might be over to the solvency route, but is it the responsibility of somebody who's labeled as resilient, who's gone through these struggles and who has made it through, to, going back to what Jayla said, to remove that trauma or to remove some of the stuff, like the problems that make somebody resilient? Does that make sense?
Say it again.
Is it the responsibility of somebody who's labeled as resilient to remove like the struggle? Like, let's say somebody's going through poverty. Is it their responsibility for when they have kids to remove the poverty struggle?
So you mean like stopping the cycle?
Stopping the
so,
cycle.
so I think it comes down to the choice and the mindset. So we have a choice. If you want to stop those, and I'm gonna call it generational cycles in that instance. If you want to stop generational cycles, it's your own individual choice to say, hey, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I've seen what this has done to my grandmother. I've seen what this has done to, my great grandmother. And so, like, for me personally, it's like I've seen, like, going back to Zayla, it's like I've seen what a single black woman is. I've seen and I know how to do it. And so me personally, I'm like, I can't do it. And it's not because the whole strong black woman phenomenon. It's about, I want to have a partnership. I want to, be, I want to I want to have that, that protector aspect of it while still holding the resilience at the same time. So that's why I say it's a mindset or a choice.
That makes me think of this. I'll pass it to you.
Go ahead.
But because we keep talking about circumstances, right? And I'm like, is there no stamp or no use of the word for those who may have came from privilege, but who are still out here killing the game, right? I have friends who have not been through some of the struggles or have not seen those circumstances, right? Any type of circumstances or hurt or pain, but are out here killing the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's worthy of a stamp too.
Right.
Because
Stamp of resilience.
Black
but
girl,
I'm saying the struggles that we
Black girl.
right, the struggles that we deem are supposed to be in this criteria. Right? If it's like this is bad, you've been through some of this, then you get your stamp of resilience.
Right.
But everybody goes through stuff.
Right.
Whether you think that it's a lot or a little.
Exactly.
Right? The definition is about the ability to push through. Then they didn't specify the size of the adversity,
They didn't.
the type of the adversity,
Right.
But we only give the word to people who have what we deem been through something of great magnitude,
Right.
right? So where is that praise, that stamp to the other side of it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, but at a certain point, we have to recognize that there's a universal measure of trauma at some point because of the collective traumas of what could have happened. So as a society, I'm gonna praise you because you stubbed your toe and walked out the door the next day, or am I gonna praise somebody and give them that extra love that they need if they went and got abused and walked out the house next day? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because those people who went through those significant traumas need that extra love and need that extra praise so that they can. I don't know, but they just
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Typically, in those situations, there is a lack of something that the world should come in
and fill in.
But I think my only issue with that is that when someone is going through something and the world downplays it, or a community downplays it, right? Making it feel like what you've been through is nothing, actually magnifies their feelings for the situation, right?
So
if I'm going through something and y'all are like, girl, boom.
Right. It makes it
worse.
But it's like,
dang, I have no one to. I have to keep it. Oh my God, I have to keep this within me after I tried to open up. So now this extra layer of covering because of the fact that if it didn't go up, it went 2 times down.
But I have a question, right?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. It's really specific. But my question is, whose responsibility is it to provide praise for that person whose trauma wasn't that large? Because me, as a person who's been through a trauma that would be considered significant, or been through situations that would be considered significant, it is troubling to me. Like, it just feels some type of way to me when somebody says that they've been through something, or they want sympathy from me because they've been through something that I think is absolutely nothing in comparison to what I've gone through. It's kind of like, yes, I should have that empathy was inside of me, but it's just a lot of work, and it's just a mental toll to have to sympathize with you and give you praise for something that I feel like compared to what I've done isn't that hard, and I think that's a problem.
But I feel like that's
what it goes back to what you said before, right? Vantage point.
Yeah.
So if what you've been through, you've seen the impact of it. You've seen how it felt for you, right? You're looking at somebody else's trauma like, I wish that was just the half of what I had to go through, right? But for them, that may be the life or death, right? So I think about situations like that could have been it for that person.
Right.
This year, dealing with COVID, I've been in a lot of areas, or I've met with people who are either attempted suicide, or I've had situations where people have taken their own life, right? And when we look at the traumas, it's like, oh my God, so many people have been through worse. That was enough to make you check out, right? So I understand your point. Not deuces, but you see what I'm saying? I understand your point, but it's at the same time, like, if vantage point is important now, because it's like, whoa, we still got to remember we're human.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you put it on the spectrum, no matter how much we measure, it's still important, because that could be,
And then just a question about solvency again. What about the people who, they're dealing with that struggle and they just feel like they can't be resilient, or that they haven't gone to that other side and they keep talking about their trauma, but it's not getting better? How do we reassure them that it's another side to the trauma? There's another side. There's a light at the end of the darkness, and that you can make it through this, but also that you can remove. If there's an ability to remove some of the stuff that you can let go, it's okay to let go of it.
Yeah. I think representation. So I think that doing things and letting people see the trauma, even though you come out at the end, because going back to my definition of resilience, when you come out and you bring other people with you, you create success at the end, you have to show people, don't hide your trauma, because then they feel like they can make it through too. I think that representation is one of the greatest gifts that we can give people in this age of social media.
And I feel like, to add to that point, you're so right, because there are probably so many people that were in the same situation as you and think that nobody has done it. But if you show the stuff that you have been through, and somebody's like, oh, I've been through that too, and they saw that you got out of that, then they'll be like, okay, I can do this too. So representation is so important. I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up.
I think also it goes back to some days just choosing, I'm going to be mad today.
Right.
Or I'm going to be sad today. And what I found is, as a black girl, y'all going to be mad anyway. Like, even if I'm really chipper, or if I come here with an attitude, you gonna find something to say. So I don't care, right? That's the energy I take. If you gonna say something anyway, why would I strain myself, right? I'm not in it today. I don't feel good today, and I deserve to have those mental health days. I deserve to check out. Also, I think those part where you talk about removing some of those blocks. How I typically do it is that if I'm looking at my situation, or if I'm in a situation where I don't like, I'm immediately, where are the problems? Right? Where is the frustration coming from? And then I do an evaluation. Like, do I need you here? Do I need this? Right?
My priority.
You're not checking out boxes.
No.
But on top of that, I think it's okay to just say, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know. Because I look at it at a sense of you saying you like need some mental health days, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care if you just sit at the edge of your bed. You know, you do that 10-minute stare before school. Like it's just like those little because I'll be sleeping.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
it's those little moments because we don't always have all the answers.
Yeah.
We won't have all the answers. We think something might work, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, get to know yourself. You know,
Yeah.
Understand yourself. Understand the people around you. Understand where your pain is rooted in, right? And then just expound on that.
And to kind of build off of that, I like your definition. And if anything, I would take my hands off the reins because I know that when I keep trying to control the situation, it gets worse. My frustration builds up, my anger, my sadness keeps holding on until I let go.
Right.
And so with that, I know we still need to release and unpack. So what I do, I journal or I pray about it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this needs to get out of me because this is
That
negativity.
prayer?
This negativity inside me is festering a seed of just horribleness. And it's like, what are we doing holding this in? It doesn't do anything for me and it doesn't do anything else for the people around me because I'm spreading this.
Right.
Infection.
Yes.
So when it comes to opening up about the vulnerability, when
Right.
I open up my vulnerability, it like Emani said to the people around me, it leaves the floor open for other people to do the same.
Right.
And I think that is the most healing thing that anybody can really do.
Yeah.
And I just want to add one more thought. Like conversation me and Jayla were having earlier. I think that we as a collective need to foster a community of empathy. Because empathy, which is different from sympathy, it's not just feeling bad for someone. It's trying to understand where they're coming from. Like Jayla said, maybe that's the life or death for them, or maybe that's just a smaller picture for them.
Right.
We need to foster a community, have people in your life who can empathize with what you're going through, even if what they're going through is much worse. And I know that for someone who's gone through something that's hard, it can be hard to have that empathy.
Yeah.
But I just think that we need to work on it as a community.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that.
I
And
love
that is a perfect bow on this episode.
A cherry on top, and now let's eat
Right.
it.
This is beautiful. I hope
Another
our
conversation.
audience got something from this conversation because I'm sure we all have.
Yes.
I love hearing y'all perspectives and y'all backgrounds and y'all stories. Especially love having Emani. So thank you all. I'm gonna let Jonah take it away for this one because
Whoa, y'all, that was so.
I like
It was a
Yeah,
beautiful
I
conversation.
love when we just get so vulnerable and so open with each other and just have some really needed conversations. And I feel like that was exactly what just happened. So, if you want more of this energy and these good conversations, make sure you tune in next Wednesday. Because one thing about us,
we gonna talk about it.
Look, think back to times I never had much to give, though I was in the center of appreciation from people that I had thought would never pay me no mind, but though it's different this time, your eyes go blind, and now you in the spot that you've been trying to find. I never imagined happiness in my position, bro.